If you hear my cat in the background crying, it's okay. Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. I know on this channel we do a little bit of everything from digital art to film and photo and music and writing and literally a little bit of everything. But today I have just kind of a sit down and chat video with you because, I don't know, it's been on my mind lately and I just want to talk about it. So, years ago, as you guys know, if you follow me consistently, years ago, like I'm talking like 6-7 years ago, I made a video when I was young about what it's like growing up with gay parents and being adopted. And for at least a small YouTuber, it has now over 100,000 views, which, you know, is not that much, but it's enough, you know, that I've gotten, you know, to this day, like 6 years later or however many years later, I still get messages. I still get hate messages and I still get amazing messages. And part of the reason why I've been kind of hesitant to make more like adoption content is because, you know, obviously haters are gonna hate, but I just got so sick and tired of constant negativity, and I got so sick and tired of having to explain myself over and over and over again to people that are just fucking idiots and like fucking stupid. Like, no offense, I'm sorry, but if you're an uneducated prick, I'm not and you refuse to educate yourself, I'm not gonna listen to you. So I've kind of had this newfound fuck it kind of attitude. And yeah, and I woke up this morning. It's actually really early in the morning right now. It's like 7 a.m. And I woke up to a very sweet DM from someone on Instagram, and it made me realize why I do this and why I do make adoption videos every once in a while, and that they are worth it. Because at the end of the day, like, they help people, you know? And like in this message, this person was telling me about how they were able to relate to my struggles being transracially adopted, and it just stuck with me. And it's, sorry, that's my cat. And it just stuck with me, and it made me feel almost like this is something that I need to do. And that's kind of how I feel about most of my art forms as well, like expressing myself through poetry, music, you know, digital art, etc. But this is something that I felt like I needed to do this morning, so here I am. So I made a video about a few months ago called Don't Tell Me to Be Grateful, and that received, you know, obviously hate and applause. But what I want to talk about is, as an adopted person, and I can say on behalf of some adopted people and, you know, others who can relate, and if you can't relate, that's okay too. But when we talk about our struggles, right, and we talk about our traumas, and we talk about, you know, our experiences as people being adopted, the one thing that I always get about when people tell me to be grateful and that people tell me all these things that don't understand and that aren't adopted, it's not a pity party contest. I'm just saying it straight up. I'm sorry, but it's not a pity party contest. I'm not over here saying my life is any harder than yours. I grew up privileged. I recognize that privilege, and I recognize my traumas as well. You know, I'm not saying that we as a collective, when we talk about our experiences being transracially adopted or just being adopted in general, we are not saying that our life or lives are harder than yours in any way, shape, or form. We're not saying that. We're just adding to the conversation. Something that a lot of non-adopted people need to understand when we do talk about these issues is that we're not trying to make you feel bad for us. We're not trying to make you feel like your life was easy. We're not trying to make you feel like our life was harder. We're just sharing our experiences to make ourselves feel less alone. Because as an adopted person, at least for me, I can say that I've dealt with a fair share of loneliness in my life. Not even the whole, you know, identity crisis that we go through. Growing up transracially adopted, there's a lot of loneliness that comes with that, because not only are we excluded from whatever race our parents are. We're excluded from the race that we currently are because we feel detached from both. And we're excluded by other kids because other kids, growing up, at least for me, don't know and aren't taught how to deal with that. And don't get me wrong, I'm not blaming them. They're children. I mean, I remember being on the playground and I remember blank blank, I'm not going to say her name because to this day I still remember, but I remember when blank blank literally told me on the playground that she didn't want to play with me because she hated me. I literally remember that. I remember we were in the cafeteria. I remember she said, "No, I don't want to play with you. I hate you." And then she wouldn't play with me anymore on the playground. And just stuff like that. Like, kids aren't taught how to relate to other kids in that way. And don't get me wrong, I'm not even saying they should in a way because it's such a distant, hard concept for them to grasp sometimes. That a lot of them just don't even understand it. And that, that's okay. They're little children. That's the point. But I remember those experiences and I remember that loneliness and I remember growing up very isolated and very detached from both cultures. So when we are sharing our experiences, we're not trying to say that our life is harder. We're not trying to belittle your experiences either. We're just sharing our experiences so that other transracial adoptees and other adopted kids in general can relate and feel a little bit less alone. Because we already feel alone. Most of us didn't grow up with friends. And even if you did, that's great. Teach me your ways. But a lot of us are, at least for me, we feel this gaping void, this like hole inside of us. And the reason why is because we don't have a culture. We are very detached from both. I have white lesbian parents, right? So on one hand, I dealt with a lot of internal racism, internal homophobia growing up, right? Because kids would always ask me, "Oh, you have two moms, right? So you must be gay." And constantly, I'd have to be like, no, oh my God, no. Like, they're gay, but I'm not gay and whatever. And like, it's okay for other people, but not me, right? And like, to this day, like, I like to say I'm straight questioning, but like, regardless, we deal with a lot of stuff internally and we're detached. My parents are white. I don't fit in with white culture. I fit in, by certain actions, by the way I speak sometimes. I fit in, white dad barbecues on a Saturday afternoon and stuff like that. But I don't fit in because at the end of the day, people still see me as Asian because that's obviously what I am. But on the flip side, I'm not really widely accepted by Asian people either because I don't know the culture. I don't know the traditions. I don't know the holidays. And for a transracially adopted, at least Asian child, that's hard. I remember just like a month ago or 2 months ago or however long ago, there was the Mid-Autumn Festival. And to this day, I still don't know what the fuck that is. But I remember seeing posts about it all over Instagram. I remember some of my Asian friends in real life were celebrating. And I just remember feeling very, very sad about it. And just very detached. I didn't understand. And it just felt like this exclusive club that I wasn't a part of, And don't get me wrong, that's okay. I'm not putting them at fault. I'm just saying that was how it made me feel, And I feel like part of that is because of that detachment, because of the fact that we grow up literally in both worlds, no matter what race you are, no matter what race your parents are. Because we are torn and we are in two separate worlds, we have this gaping hole inside of us, which therefore makes the loneliness. Hence why we share our experiences, so we feel a little bit less alone. And the reason why I'm making this video is because I feel like people need to understand that a little bit. Because a lot of the times, like I saw in my last video and like I saw in my other videos about adoption, a lot of people like to say, you should be grateful that your parents adopted you. You've lived such a good life, such a privileged life, like you don't have what it, you don't, You don't deserve to be depressed. You had an easy life, right? And don't get me wrong, for me, at least in my case, you know, I went through shit. I went through a lot of shit. But at the end of the day, I know that there are people that have had it worse. So I recognize that I am privileged in certain ways. But that doesn't take away from my experiences the same way that I'm not going to sit here and take away from your experiences. I'm not here saying that my life is harder. I'm just sharing my experiences so that other adoptees can feel less alone. And I feel like I constantly need to reiterate that to people because they don't understand. They feel like as if it's a personal attack. When in reality, it's not. It's just, I'm just here making videos so that other adopted kids can look on YouTube and actually relate to someone for once. You know, because that's another thing that I experienced growing up. I would go on YouTube, I would go on the internet, you know, as you do as a young adolescent, and you explore the interwebs, but I never saw anyone that I related to. I never saw any Asian, you know, role models. I grew up in a very, very white town, you know? Like, I think there were 4 black kids in my high school of like 2,000 kids, you know? Like, come on. Like, I remember I was in Target and I cried when I saw the Shang-Chi action figure of Simu Liu. I think that's how you pronounce his name, Simu Liu. Correct me if I'm wrong. Because it was the first time in my life that I saw like an Asian representation in media, in mass media. And I remember I almost fucking cried. But you know what I'm saying? Like, we don't grow up with a lot of representation. And that's why I'm making this video right now. So that kids can look on YouTube and see something that they relate to. And you know what? If I get hate, whatever. At this point, I just don't give a shit. But I will say, because I'm going to end this soon because I know this video has been long. But I will say that no matter what your experiences are in life, whether you're adopted, not adopted, I think one thing that we as a collective human species need to do is try to put ourselves in each other's shoes. I don't care what position you are. I don't care if you're a Trumpy. I don't care if you're a blue Democrat. I don't care if you're white, black, Asian, Hispanic. I don't care, indigenous. I don't care who you are. But if you come to me and you're sharing your experiences about what you've been through, I'm going to sit and listen. Because at the end of the day, I know they're not my experiences. So I'm going to listen to you who have experienced it firsthand. And then I'm going to try to put myself in your shoes so I can better understand the situation. And I feel like, for me at least, if we as a collective did that more and did try to put ourselves in each other's shoes, I feel like the world would be a much better place and would be much more understanding, if that makes any sense. But anyways, I'm gonna end this video. If my fellow adoptees out there that could potentially be watching this want me to make more adopted content, please shoot me a message. My Instagrams are gonna be on the end card, but please shoot me a message. Please comment below any questions that you may have, anything you want me to talk about, because I'm at a point where I don't care about the hate. And I don't care about having to explain myself to people, because honestly, I'm just going to ignore them. But, you know, like, I'm not going to be afraid anymore because there's no point. There's one thing that I always say, that life is ever changing. Life is ever changing. So there is no point in stressing about anything. For me, this is my experience and this is how I feel for myself. Not for other people. I'm not telling you how to live your life. But for me, I don't care what the haters think anymore, and I'm not gonna hide anymore. I'm not gonna hide my true self for them, you know, for haters. Because that means they won in a way, and I'm very competitive. But I'm gonna end it on this note. If you guys want more adopted content, or if you just, because I know this channel bounces around a lot between all the shit that I do in my life and whatever. If you want more adopted content, please reach out. Please let me know. It encourages me. It fuels the fire. And I would love to eventually do a Q&A video from adopted kids and stuff. But yeah, okay. I'll let you go now. But check out the end cards. You'll see my main Instagram and other whatever. So you can send me questions and stuff. But I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you.